Hi guys, gonna do a little demo video for you guys just to explain the basic process of creating your morph targets. So we want to start really by labeling the subtools that we're going to use. That's always a good idea. For a default head, we should typically have the lips closed. In this case, for the demonstration, I'm going to avoid working on that, but typically your mouth would be closed. Some people prefer the mouth to be halfway open, which is fine too, but for me, I typically start with the face or the mouth closed. So I'm going to rename my base head to default, since it should be a default expressionless pose. So that'll be default. Next up is very straightforward. I'm going to go to layers, and you have to be on the high subdivision level. If I were on a lower subdivision level and I tried to create a new layer, it would say requires a high subdivision level. In some cases, if your mesh is very, very high in subdivisions, you may want to, for the purposes of creating blend shapes, delete some of your higher subdivisions. If it's too dense, it can be too tough to work with. So a middle to lower middle resolution subdivision is usually a good idea. It will always export your lowest res mesh. So the base mesh should still work, but for whatever reason, Zbrush only likes layers on the highest subdivision. So we have to make sure we're on that subdivision, or you maybe delete your ultra high res stuff and go with something middle res. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to rename it Smile. And right now it's in record mode, so I'm going to go into the move tool and create a smile. I'm actually going to do this in symmetry, so start off by kind of creating this guy's smile. Now, truth be told, these morph targets, generally speaking, we don't have presets like smile, frown, anger, happiness, sadness. We actually will develop more precise morph targets that can be mixed and matched to create a whole range of expressions, but this is just a quick demo, so I'm just doing a smile for now. So I'm going to stop the recording, and this essentially will represent essentially what your blend shape will look like in Maya. So we can go from the default to the smile. And in a number of cases, we often want the left and right side of the face to be somewhat independent of each other. So I'll tend to make stuff in symmetry and then break that symmetry rather quickly. So there's an easy way to do that. So if I've created a smile, I'll go into morph targets, and morph targets are similar to I guess the idea of blend shapes. We can basically go into store morph target. So this will kind of create a snapshot of the mesh with this in its present state. So with this layer at 100%, I go to morph target, store morph target. I'm going to get this thing stored in the mesh, and so if I go in to layers again, I'm going to turn down this layer. If I create a new layer, I could call it, sorry, let's rename that smile, smile left, let's say. Nothing's happening, but if I go into my brush, hit M for morph target, and I can find the morph brush. So what this will basically do, let me turn off symmetry, so I just get this on the one side. If I brush the left side of the face, I can start to get a smirk now instead of a smile. So this way of working is incredibly smart, incredibly fast. And let me just turn up and down the layers here. For some reason my layers actually weren't recording, so let me try that one more time. I'll record, and this should track the change. I'm going to just tap a little bit so I get a bit of a blend on that left side. I'll stop recording, so now I can get basically a left side smirk or a left side smile. I could leave this left side up at 100, and I'll create a new layer and rename that smile right. And I'll just hit that morph brush again, just making sure we get the complete smile. So what's great about this is I can now get a crooked smile, I can get a smirk, I can get a whole range of motions by having both a symmetrical smile as well as a left and right side. So that's a quick breakdown of how to do symmetrical and asymmetrical morph targets. So this would be great for blinks as well. So I typically do a blink in symmetry mode on one layer, and then I would repeat that process. I would create a morph target of the left and right side blinking, and then morph brush in the left side for a left only blink, and do the same thing for the right side, and that would give me a left and right independent blink as well as a uniform blink if I wanted both.